Let me just say this because I think it's very important. Our sexuality is the most powerful energy within us, and sex is only one way of expressing it. You will be anything you do using your sexual energy, you will be brilliant. The brilliance is in you.
Some experts chase attention, but the smart ones build authority. You're listening to the Authority on Demand podcast, where credibility becomes your competitive advantage. Every week, we're pulling back the curtain on how founders and leaders turn expertise into inbound demand through books that position, media that converse, and strategies that actually move the needle. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, your host and Chief Creative Officer at Authority on Demand. Now, let's turn your authority into leverage.
Okay, everybody. So, what if healing could be found in the space between fantasy and reality? What if the costumes we wear could become the bridges to our truer selves? Well, we're going to be venturing into uncharted territory today, where we're going to talk about clinical psychology and how it meets creative storytelling, where the shadows of trauma give way to the transformative light of authentic expression. Today's podcast, we're going to be talking to Dr. Stephanie Hunter Jones, a clinical sexologist who's pioneering a completely new approach to sex education for the unlikely world of cosplay and storytelling. So excited to chat more about it and about her book, Beyond the Costume. Looking forward to it. Stephanie, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me, and thank your listeners for listening to me.
Hey, real quick before we jump back in, if you're loving what we're doing here, hit that subscribe button and drop us a like. We're bringing you the best authors, the most real conversations, and all the writing wisdom that you didn't know you needed. So stick around because it only gets better from here. All right, now let's get back to the conversation.
Of course, of course. I think it's going to be really fun, a very cool topic too. So
Yes.
let's dive right into it. But before we talk
Okay.
about the book itself, I want to know a little bit about you. What led you from clinical psychology to focus on human sexuality, becoming a sex coach, and well, I guess ultimately cosplaying and storytelling.
Sure. It's a long story, but I'll try to be brief. So, yeah, my PhD is in human sexuality, and my master's is in clinical psychology, and I'm a certified sex coach. I found throughout my own personal life, when I was younger as a child, I suffered a lot of sexual trauma, emotional trauma, and through religious abuse, shame, and so I grew up with a lot of body shaming, shame about sexuality, everything. And I really suffered from it. And it came out in various forms. And so it wasn't until my late 20s and into my 30s that I realized by healing my sexuality, it was going to heal who I was as a person. So therefore, I began that journey, my personal journey. And during that journey, I did use cosplay and role play and things of that nature. And then I got so much from it that I decided I wanted to turn it into my life's passion. So I went back to school and I studied the psychology, but then I thought, no, I really want to focus in on the human sexuality to make a difference in that on the planet. So I went ahead and did that, and that's basically it.
Well, it's really great to hear that you transformed something that was, of course, very, personal and traumatic in your life to something that helps others every day. So I always, feel inspired with people who are able to do that, especially in the form of the written word too. The fact that you're able to put it into a book, it shows a lot of strength for sure.
Well, one thing about the written word that's so powerful is it's a way to use our magic to transform not only ourselves but others. There's certainly other forms of art as well, but the written word is very powerful and can make a difference for sure.
Course, yeah, and especially, in the form of the fictional characters themselves, which, in your book, you do take the character of Mason, a fictional character, and kind of turn it into this, which just goes to show how storytelling really can be like a bridge between, reality and,
Mhm,
something to lead us towards that healing.
mhm.
Uh,
What
So,
I loved about my character Mason is he's a bisexual male, but his shame was not in his bisexuality, it was in his being a cosplayer. And
oh,
so I took him on his journey of growing up with that shame and being bullied. and then working through all that and embracing who he was to find out, his power and who he was and celebrate. So,
Exactly. So why exactly did you choose, that story in particular? I'm guessing you kind of based it off of your own experiences and you realized that, cosplay was a vehicle for your healing journey. So it was kind of like a metaphor for your own path. Is that correct to assume?
yes, I would say. I mean, I'm really into the 1940s film noir, which is what he was obsessed with. But it wasn't that's not my personal full obsession. But what I like to do when I work with people is find out if there's an era in history, a character in history, something from the past that they resonate with and they don't know why. And then I try to help them bring it to life. And through that process, heal their sexuality. And it works really well for couples that are blocked sexually. It has worked magic. So again, I just think it's a tool, cosplay and role play, that is just not understood and overlooked for its value, that it can really heal and help people.
Of course. And, in the book yourself, I'm guessing Dr. Stephanie, is that literally you in the book itself then? Like it kind of
Yes,
reflects your own techniques then.
all my books that I write for the middle grades to adults, there's a quirky therapist and her with orange hair, and her name is Dr. Stephanie.
I see now that, I see your person on the video now. I'm like, okay, so that's, a little bit the same there in the book. That's a very cool approach then, kind of just putting yourself in the book, in the world of your fictional characters and using that as a medium. That's really cool.
Well, it
Um,
helps me to also write in a voice of authenticity, because I really write as if I was seeing that individual as a client.
Yeah, which is really cool. And also, I guess in a way, I mean, I don't know if this is something you've done, but use the book as a way to get closer to your clients too, perhaps. Like if, they want to know a little bit more about your approach, you hand them the book, have them read about it a little bit. Is that something you've done
Mhm.
before?
Uh, yes, but I have found it very interesting that if I get my clients to read it, I'm a big advocate of reading. So I have a lot of books that I have my clients read before they read mine. But I'm found it very interesting that even if they're not like cosplay, or they don't have problems with sexual labels or things of that nature, it gets them thinking about their own sexuality. And
Mm,
it even opens up things that even if I've worked with them for a long time, they talk about. And I was like, oh, see, this is good. This is good for everyone. You don't necessarily have to be a cosplayer, but it's good to get the conversation going.
right. Yeah. And get you to think about it, like you said, because you wouldn't have thought about these kind of things in your own life until you saw the example played out in the form of the book. And then, it gives you better introspection on yourself. And I could see
Hmm.
exactly how that helps so many people.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so, going more into the book itself, we talked about Mason a little bit, but he's not our only character. We also have a character named Raven who
Hmm.
plays a big role in Mason's healing. So I'm wondering if you could shine a little light about that and how she represents the healthy relationship dynamics that you teach.
Hmm. So I created Raven be- because I wanted a strong woman that was able to think and express on her own. So certainly when they meet is after he has spent some time working with me as my client. And this is what I do with all my clients who have kinks or fetishes or cosplay, whatever. I teach them that if they embrace it, if they celebrate it, then they will attract that energy. They won't attract that shameful energy, but they must own it and embrace it. So he met her and liked her right away, set a date to go to an old movie, that he wanted later. And he remembers what Dr. Stephanie says, because he's like, should I tell her? Should I tell her first time? Because it'll scare her away. Should I tell her? And Dr. Stephanie said, no, if I own it, I have to be authentic. I have to be myself. And so, of course, they have a lovely evening. And at the end of the evening, he tells her, I have something to tell you. And she's like, not knowing what is coming out. And he's like, I'm a cosplayer. And he explained what that was. And she goes, well, I've never known a cosplayer. I mean, not that I know of. And she said, but I need some time to think about it. And, Mason says, "I completely understand, and I won't contact you, but you can contact me if you feel it's something you're comfortable with." And then he gives her a soft kiss and says goodbye. She spends a month thinking about it, researching it, doing some soul searching, and then she comes up and realizes, "You know what? This man had the courage to be authentic to me." And she thought, "Why am I so worried?" Because he likes to dress like an old gangster. She took a look at her own self. What is this? Why am I worried about that? What is that about me? And then the process of her reaching out to him and then them falling in love and then she taking him to parties and the process of people saying something about him, dressed that way. And then she owns it. She finds herself starting to own it. So I love the way she evolved in the story as well. Like, it
Yeah,
was
and
almost like she found herself through him too. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And I really like that because, when you're open to one person, it just is a great example to others and allowing them to express themselves and reaching themselves. Kind of like we talked about before. You don't consider other areas until you see that an example or see somebody else living it. So it's
that's
very
right. Absolutely, absolutely. And again, if we say, integrity is my value in life, I hear that often, honesty and integrity. Well, then we have to hold the space for that, for someone to enter our life and present themselves that way. Because if the space isn't there, then we have to take a look at ourselves. Is integrity then really that important to me? Oh, yeah, maybe it's important if I'm not uncomfortable. So it
Mhm.
really gets us thinking, is it important? And if integrity and honesty is so important, then we must hold the space for someone coming into our lives.
Definitely. No, I love that. And it's very inspiring to hear. So do you happen to have a copy of the book with you today by any chance?
I do. And here it is right here. Can you get a
I
good look at it?
Yes, yeah, there's a little glare, and there it is. Yeah, so it's beautifully drawn. And what I thought was so interesting about this book, it's a kind of like an activity storybook, like a coloring book format for such serious subject matter. So why this choice? It's beautiful, by the way. But what
Oh,
made you
thank
come to
you.
that decision?
All the artwork is mine too, by the way.
Oh, I was going
But
to ask that also. That's very cool.
yeah. So, I wanted people to be involved. So I thought one of the best ways for people to be involved is make it an activity and storybook and coloring book. So,
Mhm.
like I said, it's available other ways too, but this way it asks questions throughout. And
Right.
so the reader can think, have I ever known that? Or have I had those kind of feelings? Or how would I feel if someone was honest to me like that? So I ask questions like that.
Yeah, and that's exactly kind of the pattern I'm seeing here, right? Getting them to think introspectively about their own selves through the course of the story, which is really cool.
I also give art activities in there, like
Mhm.
drawings, collages, things of that nature, so that throughout the book they get to know their own sexuality through the art.
Understood. Yeah, and I wanted to give you time to spotlight some of the artwork pieces too, because you spent so much time creating them yourself. It's great to know you're a writer and an artist also. Is there a certain page that, stands out in your memory more than others, perhaps?
That's a very good question. I would probably say when Mason runs into Raven right here. He's jogging because his dream is to become a detective like in the movies.
Mhm.
So he's getting in shape because he's going to apply, which he never had the courage to before. And then as he's jogging, he runs into Raven. I don't know if you can see it. And she drops her bag and he stops and helps her. And that's where they meet. And they instantly had a connection.
So cool. I love it. And you can see in that photo, it gives the people a chance to look at it. And I don't know if you're intending people to color in it, but it kind of makes me want to
Oh,
like color
yeah.
myself.
That's what it is, the coloring book. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. At this stage in the book, he's done a lot of his work. And so he's very comfortable. Before he would have never, but he's very comfortable in talking to her and saying, "Hey, let me give you my number if you ever want to get together for coffee." And then she says, "Well, hey, how about tonight?" So it just worked out really nice. Sweet couple, you're gonna fall in love with them.
Yeah, definitely, I love it. So yeah, I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people listening today could learn from. We like to write, we have our book in mind, but pictures and drawings and kind of reflection questions are a very unique approach to add in there and get the readers more immersed in our writing. So something to hold as a role model for us, I think.
Well, I
um,
know for me, creating a drawing storyboard always helps me write my stories, even if it's like a short story, drawing it out. So we can do little different art things to get the story going, or a doll. I mean, it probably sounds crazy, but I just wrote a poem and made a video of one of my dolls, and I did an AI video where she comes alive. That's how I write, is I first start with the art. So if your writers can explore other creative ways to get the words flowing, I would encourage that greatly. I use that in my therapy because when I get the art going with the client, if they're showing me their collages, it gets their words flowing. Their words start flowing. Oh, why did you choose that picture to reflect your sexuality? They start saying, "Oh, well, because of this and that," and there's something about it that gets us the words flowing. So if you wanna write a project or start with a collage or do something that you can visualize it first.
right, yeah.
That's the way
A
I
lot of
feel.
people are visual thinkers, so
Yeah.
it allows them that chance to explore a little bit more. It's a great idea. So that's kind of the approach you took to plan it. But what about the writing process itself? Was there certain strategies you used to really develop this, especially because it's like a young adult type novel? I'm sure there's different techniques to keep in mind as you're writing it.
For me, I had to do a lot of rewrites and rewrites and rewrites. And again, if I thought some part of the chapter wasn't working, then I would draw the picture that would make it fit in there. So each of my books has taken me a lot of times to rewrite, and I bring them alive in my head and also on the paper as I'm writing. I'm just weird.
It's a good thing though. Even if it's, maybe be a little weird, it's something that works for you. It's something that we can all learn from too, it's unique.
Well, and also with Mason, if I got stuck, I would watch a film noir, and then I saw my Mason come to life there. So, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So now that the book has been out for a while, I'm wondering a little bit about the feedback. You've received some great feedback from your colleagues, from readers about your approach, people implementing it and finding some positive results.
Yes, I have received a lot of great feedback. A lot of people are like, is in regard to this one, they're not sure what it is. So they have a few questions in that. So they got to get past the uncomfortableness of what is this exactly? But everyone, yeah, has given me really good feedback. My first book was on labeling, sexual labels, to label or not to label. That is the question. And that book had really good response because everyone understands sexual labels. They all have a complicated relationship with it. But cosplay is unique and different, but that's okay. That's why I wanted to get it out and get people thinking about it. And even if you're not born a cosplayer, you can become one.
There's nothing stopping you from it yet.
Yeah.
I love that. So I'm so to know that you've had such, reception from that. But something tells me that you're not stopping here. You have a bunch of other books under your belt. So I have to know a little bit about what's next on the agenda. You've created this amazing piece. There's got to be more in the works. What can we be excited for?
Thank you. Yes, I have another book that I'm shopping for publishers on that's phenomenal and it's very important. It's called Clara the Superhero, and she becomes a superhero because she's a young girl that gets sexually abused, and she fears telling her parents and authorities about it, and the book takes her along that journey of becoming a superhero. and standing up for herself, which she ultimately does. Throughout the book, again, I have activities and questions. What would you go to that, your neighbor's house without asking your parents? Things of that nature, very important questions. I think this book is so important for parents to do with their child, especially people who are uncomfortable about talking about it, because there's nothing explicit in it. It's just they can talk about it in ways that they can calmly and safely let the children know that we can't always, not everyone's a superhero. Some people are anti-heroes,
Mm.
and we don't always know who they are. So I have that one, and then I have another one that I'm thinking of self-publishing on love addiction, and it's a young girl that grew up as her grandmother was a witch, and so she was real spiritual and believed in spirituality, and she was close to animals and whatnot. And when she was always unique and different, and she loved who she was. When she went off to college, she fell in love with this boy who, didn't like who she was. I mean, he liked what she looked like, but he didn't like the witch thing or the spiritual thing. She totally transferred who she was as a person. It shows the pain that she goes through that of abandoning herself and her transformation of coming to terms with what she's done and then rediscovering herself afterwards. It also is a very powerful book.
That seems to be the theme with all the work. Very powerful, very inspirational, things that make you think, right? So def
Right.
I love that. So it's really exciting. Any time of a trajectory that we could be on the lookout for. We could keep up to date on the on your social medias or websites. Is there anywhere we
Oh, sure. Well, my website is stephaniehunterjones.com, and I have my link tree on there, so you can check out my Instagram because I make my own videos with my paintings, and I write poetry with it, and they're all inspirational. So I'll bring them to life. And so, yeah, stephaniehunterjones.com, and check out my videos, and my articles are all in there, my books, all that great stuff.
I love that. So we're gonna put the link to that in the description box of this podcast today, everybody. So you can click on over, get in touch, get in the know.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but so as we begin to wrap up today, I just have to know if you have any other bits of advice for the audience listening today, if they perhaps want to, follow the same path of you, write a book that's, a little bit beyond the beaten trail, something interesting. What kind of techniques would you recommend that you wish you knew when you got started?
Let me just say this because I think it's very important. Our sexuality is the most powerful energy within us, and sex is only one way of expressing it. Anything that we do in our life that we're creative and we are passionate and good at, and we feel alive, we're using that energy. So if you can tap into that energy for your writing, that passion, you will come to life. And that energy's there for you. So that's what one thing I would invite your listeners to do. You will be anything you do using your sexual energy, you will be brilliant. The brilliance is in you.
Brilliance is in you. That's a beautiful quote. Perhaps something we should all be thinking with us and holding into our minds to continue on with our day today. Because, whether you're a writer, whether you're just somebody listening to this on your way to work, whatever it is, it's
Yeah.
something we can all apply. I love it. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
absolutely. Absolutely. It
Yeah,
doesn't just pertain to writing. It pertains to gardening, cooking, dancing, whatever sports, whatever someone, if they tap into that energy, you can bet they're going to be good at it.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a really meaningful conversation. You have some amazing tips for writing and, well, life in general, too. So it's been a pleasure. Thanks again.
But thank you for having me, and thank you, your listeners, again.
Of course. Well, everybody, that's a wrap on another Authors on Mission episode. Remember that every story has the power to be told, every story has the power to heal, every authentic voice has the power to transform. And we're all on a mission worth pursuing. So until next time, keep writing your own story of impact and authenticity. We'll see you next time, everybody.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Authority on Demand podcast. If today's conversation sparked something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with a founder or leader who's ready to stop being the best kept secret in their industry. If you want to turn your expertise into inbound demand, Head to authorityondemand.com to see how we help clients go from unknown to in demand. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, and I'll catch you on the next one. Now, go build some authority.